Onda Magazine presenta.
Que Onda Houston. Today we have the honor of being joined by Houston City Council member Julian Ramirez, who is an at-large council member here who's been representing the city of Houston since January 2024. So basically, we're just here to talk about your first 19 months council member.
Well, Indita, it's great to be with you and with Que Onda Magazine. Thank you for all that you do. And it's great to be with Houstonians who will be watching this interview as well.
Yes, sir. And as a Hispanic magazine, we are proud to recognize that you're one of 3 Latino members here in the Houston City Council representing our community. So we want to thank you, first of all, for that.
Well, you're quite welcome, and I'm proud to represent the Hispanic community on City Council along with my 2 colleagues. We have a total of 16 council members, and so 3 of us are Hispanic. The numbers don't quite line up yet, percentage-wise, but we're getting there.
Yes, it was a historic election back then, and thank you so much for your commitment.
You bet. You bet. Happy to do it. It's a privilege to serve.
Thank you, council member. I wanted to ask you a basic question. As an at-large council member, what does your day-to-day look like? What is something that you do in the daily, or maybe it's a different every single day?
Well, I'll tell you, there are no shortage of issues to work on. I happen to be retired. I had a 35-year career in law. I'm an attorney. I was a criminal prosecutor for that time period. And so this is my job, serving Houstonians on City Council in an at-large capacity. So my typical day is I will get to work around 8 o'clock and I will leave after 5 o'clock. I put in a full day's work. Of course, sometimes I'm out in the field, if you will, at community meetings, at meetings with stakeholders, and there are meetings in the evening as well. A lot of our neighborhood groups, civic groups, homeowners associations, and the like meet in the evening hours, and I'm happy to participate in some of those as well. And of course, there are activities going on the weekends. So typically, I am doing some sort of work 6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Wow. And
Yeah.
technically, your job is a part-time commitment, but technically, I've heard from so many other council members that they say it's basically a 24/7 kind of thing on the job.
That's correct. It was envisioned as a part-time position, but in actuality, your constituents expect you to be responsive and to be working, and we certainly work hard. But again, it is a privilege to serve. It's been very rewarding in a number of ways for me, and I enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
I wanted to ask you, given it's your year 2, you had a successful first year, now you're basically halfway through year 2. What are your proudest achievements so far? Anything that you want to highlight from your term?
Well, I've been thinking about that. And as a representative of Houstonians, I want to put into practice their priorities, right? And so one of the things we heard and continue to hear is public safety is something that concerns Houstonians throughout the city. And so I'm glad that we've been able to make progress in that regard. We have had a shortage of police officers. So we recently passed a new police contract that will make us more competitive and help us to hire more police officers. That means you will see, hopefully, in short order, more police officers on the streets. And so that's certainly one thing that we wanted to accomplish. Another thing that we've worked hard on is, again, following up on what Houstonians tell us. We often hear the complaint that Houston has all these rules and these ordinances, but we have no enforcement. And so one of the things that I've worked on is to try to beef up our enforcement efforts. So recently we passed a budget. That's our second budget that I've been involved in. And council members have the opportunity to help shape the budget to accord or agree with Houstonians' priorities. And so one of the things I did was offer a few budget amendments to beef up our enforcement efforts. And so very proud of those things. And I have to say, we've been active in a number of different issues: affordable housing, short-term rentals. We are about to get into the scooter issue, especially downtown, and we're going to do something about that as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Councilmember
Sure.
Ramirez. I also wanted to make a distinction In the council, we have council members that are assigned to a specific district, but you're an at-large council member. Would
Correct.
you educate us a little bit of what those differences are? Does that affect at all your decision making, your that broader responsibility maybe that you might have?
Mhm. Sure. So Houston is divided up into 11 single member council districts, and the population in each is supposed to be about equal. So you're supposed to have about 200,000 Houstonians in each council district. 11 council districts, 11 district council members, plus you have 5 additional at-large council members. At-large means that the entire city votes on your position and you serve the entire city. If you live in District I or District H, then you have one elected district council member and only you and the folks who live in your district vote on that position. But you also vote on all 5 of the at-large positions. And so we have what we call a hybrid system, single member district representation, but in addition to that, 5 at-large council members.
Awesome. That's a very good explanation. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And how do you work with and collaborate with other council members to ensure that you guys tackle all these citywide issues?
Well, one thing is we become informed on issues and then we try to come up with solutions for them. At least that's my approach. And in order to enact a solution, of course, you need collaboration. You cannot act by yourself and get anything done at the city or get very much done. And so when I have an initiative or something that I want to work on, I will reach out to other council members and to see if I can get support for it. Now you have to be careful when you do this because Houston has a quorum rule, which means that most of your deliberations with the entire council or a quorum, majority of the council members, has to take place in public in one of our meetings, right? So there are some things you can do behind the scenes, but you are somewhat limited in that respect. And it's a serious consideration because if you violate the quorum rule, you violate the law, right? And so eventually, a lot of our work gets done in a public setting, in our business meetings, which are held on Wednesday mornings, or our public comment sessions, which are Tuesday afternoons. In addition to that, we have our committee meetings, and we can get into that. I'm chair of the Quality of Life Committee. And so our committee meetings are another opportunity for us to debate, discuss as a council initiatives that we want to enact.
Do you see more participation from the public in the Wednesday agenda session? And if so, what would you encourage people to know about committee meetings? Anything you want to highlight?
Sure. So the public comment portion of our meetings is Tuesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Our Wednesday morning meetings are business meetings. They typically do not involve public comments.
Mm-hmm.
The committee meetings are a great opportunity for Houstonians to come and weigh in on matters before the committee or matters in general. So you can do that in person at the committee meeting, or you can do that online. A lot of our committee meetings are broadcast, they're online, you can weigh in. But we also rely to a large extent on what we get via email, right? Email is an important part of how we communicate. And we keep track of the emails we get, and we try to be as responsive as we can when folks reach out via email.
You know, talking about public engagement, have you identified maybe some strategies that are the most efficient for public servants and Houstonians working together to advance citywide initiatives?
Mm-hmm. Well, communication is key, right? And so that's why the public meetings are important. Communication via email is important. Another thing that we try to do is we try to publish a newsletter, and we've been able to do it about once a month in order to get information out about what's taking place in our meetings here at City Hall, but also sort of a broader overview on important issues confronting the city that we need to address, in the near future and over the long term.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any story that maybe sticks out to you where teamwork was essential and it led to something positive?
Sure. So last year we passed a short-term rental ordinance. A lot of Houstonians had complained about short-term rentals. And when I say short-term rentals, I'm talking about the Airbnb type rental homes and apartments and whatnot. Um, Most of the short-term rentals operate and they're good neighbors. However, there's always a few that ruin it for everyone, right? And so we had a lot of complaints citywide about a few bad actors. So we needed to do something about that. We did not have a short-term rental ordinance on the books. And so with the help of our ARA department, which is our Administration and Regulatory Affairs Department, they wrote an ordinance. It came before my committee, the Quality of Life Committee, which we chair, and we we convinced them to make adjustments. We took comments from the public. One of our most well-attended committee meetings was on short-term rentals. We literally had about 70 people here, and about 40 of them spoke on one aspect or another of that issue, the short-term rentals. And so that was a collaborative process. I was able to work with other council members, one in particular, Abby Kamen from District C, which has a lot of short-term rentals in it, and also Sally Alcorn, another at-large council member. We worked very well together in trying to help shape that ordinance into something that would help address the problem, but also not unfairly penalize those responsible short-term rental operators.
Thank you. That's a great story.
Sure.
Um, council members, they're limited to serving 2 terms at most. But are there any issues in Houston that Houston might have that are something that's like a long-term thing, that's something that requires action beyond terms?
Yes, Houston has a financial situation that is going to require and continue to require attention. We have what we call a structural budget deficit right now, which means that from year to year, our revenues do not meet our expenditures. This has been true for the last few years. And our revenue comes from a number of sources. The biggest source of our revenue are property taxes, right? Sales taxes make up another big part of our revenue. Then the city does have a certain number of fees. And also we tend to get a number of dollars from the federal government and from our state government. And, taken together, that forms the revenue that we're able to deal with. But as I said, our expenditures have exceeded in the last few years what we've been able to bring in with revenue. And so that continues to be an issue. We're going to have to do something about it, right? We're either going to have to come up with additional revenue, maybe new revenue streams, or I should say, we're going to have to reduce our expenditures. And that may entail becoming more efficient, reducing the size of city government, or perhaps coming up with ways that some of our services can be provided by the private sector.
Yes. And with this issue, are there any words that you might want to share with Houstonians with the actions that you guys are taking to, I guess, maybe give them some comfort?
Yes, well, I would say that we have some talented, smart people working on it. I think Mayor Whitmire, his administration, has done a pretty good job this first 19 months of his term. And he's got some good department heads. He's got some good folks in the finance department and good assistants. And so they've been working diligently on this particular issue and others. And you've got a council that has been very active in trying to stay abreast of the issue and also help with input on how we deal with this issue. Now, I mentioned the financial issue. Certainly that's not the only issue we deal with in Houston. I think we're at a point where our population has stagnated the last few years, and we need to make sure that Houston is growing and vibrant and robust. We need to make sure our economy is strong and that we continue to be a place where people and companies want to come and locate. People want to live here. Companies want to do business here. And that we've done well, in that regard, but we need to continue to make sure this is a business-friendly environment, and that we also deal with big issues that are confronting us, like our school system, which Houston City government does not have control over our school system. And when I say school system, I'm talking mainly about the Houston Independent School District. We have a number of other school districts that are very important, but HISD gets most of the attention, and they've had some severe problems the last few years. So we need to get that in order. We also need to deal with the high cost of insurance. Home insurance costs have gone through the roof, and part of that has to do with some of the flooding issues that we've dealt with in the last several years. We're working on all of that, but we've got to continue to work on it to make sure Houston remains a place where people want to come and live.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that,
Sure.
Council Member. Now, people who aspire to be in the Houston City Council, any skill set that you might suggest that they start working on? It doesn't matter how old they are, if they're young, something that you want to share, maybe some advice to those people who are looking to become involved.
Sure. Well, you need to bring a servant heart, right? This is all about service. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for anything else other than seeing a need in my community and seeing issues that we need to deal with, and the desire to offer some help with that. So first, bring a servant heart to City Council, and then also come informed and willing to do the work. Those are the most important things.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice. And just to get to know you a little bit more, anything that you might want to highlight that's your favorite parts of the city?
Well, that's hard to say given that I represent the entire city, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it has been a pleasure getting to see all of Houston and getting to meet with Houstonians across the city. Maybe one of my favorite parts of the job is going out into the neighborhoods, to the meetings, and meeting normal people. I like to say normal people, right? I mean, I love the people that we work with here at City Council, the other council members, their staff, the administration, right? So the folks who make up city government. But it's always great to go out into the neighborhoods and talk to regular Houstonians and find out what issues are confronting them, what's bothering them, what do they need help with, and getting to know them a little bit. Houston is such a diverse place, and that's a great thing.
Yes.
That we have this right here at our disposal, right? So many different cultures and so many different languages spoken, and so it's been a pleasure becoming more familiar with all of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember.
Sure.
To close out, do you want to share any special words to our Que Onda Magazine audience who's watching this interview?
Well, just want you to know we love Houston. We love the Latino community. I should say Latino communities, because Latinos come from a number of different places, and you are part of what makes Houston special, and it's just a privilege to serve you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you guys for tuning in with this exclusive interview with Councilmember Julian Ramirez.
Thank you.
Hasta luego.
Que Onda Magazine presentó